The Hall of Concord floated above the gas giant like a monument to old power. Its walls were carved from starstone, etched with the symbols of empires that had risen by conquest and endured through fear. Justice was spoken of here often, but rarely practiced. At the center of the chamber stood a lone circular platform. Commander Arya Vale stepped onto it. Thousands of eyes followed her. Compound eyes, glowing eyes, eyes that had never known mercy. Some watched with boredom, others with mild irritation, as if her presence delayed more important matters. Representative of Solarian Union, said High Arbiter Korth, his elongated frame folding forward. You have requested another emergency audience. State your cause. Arya steadied herself. She had stood on this platform 6 times before. Each time, she had hoped the answer would be different. I am here to report continued violations against Solarian civilians, she said. Her voice carried clearly across the chamber. The Nereth Clade has escalated attacks on our trade corridors. Non-combatants are being seized. Entire colonies are disappearing. A faint murmur passed through the assembly. Not concern, but inconvenience. Again, another arbiter sighed, scanning a data slate. These claims are repetitive. 3 cycles ago, Arya continued, refusing to stop, a civilian convoy carrying over 200 families was destroyed. No military escort. No resistance. Survivors were taken. Silence followed. Then Korth spoke calmly. The frontier is hazardous. Emerging powers must learn resilience. They are enslaving our people, Arya said, her restraint cracking. Children. Medics. Farmers. The galaxy is not gentle, an arbiter replied. Adaptation is required. The verdict arrived without ceremony. The Concord would not intervene. Instead, the Assembly approved a motion granting the Nereth Clade protective governance over Solarian territory. Occupation, Arya said flatly. Stabilization, Korth corrected. You will comply within 30 cycles. Arya lifted her eyes. And if we refuse? Korth's mouth curved into something almost like a smile. Then your species will learn the cost of defiance. The chamber lights dimmed. The session was over. Arya walked out with measured steps, though something inside her had shattered. A decade of negotiation erased in minutes. She reached the encrypted relay wing and transmitted a single, tightly coded message to Sol. Concord decision finalized. Nereth mandate approved. Authorized contingency protocol 7. Minutes later, on Sol Prime, Strategic Marshal Jonas Krell read the message twice. Then he approached a sealed terminal, one untouched since the earliest days of expansion. He placed his hand against it. The system recognized him instantly. Across Solarian space, the planet stirred. Civilian manufacturing hubs shifted configurations. Mining platforms unlocked restricted compartments. Cargo fleets quietly altered their flight plans. Humanity had negotiated. Humanity had complied. And humanity had prepared. Arya did not see this yet. From her quarters aboard the Concord station, she began drafting a second transmission, this one unencrypted, and meant for the entire galaxy. The broadcast went live across 1,000 systems. Every major relay station carried it. Every neutral world, every trading post, every Imperial command deck. Commander Arya Vale appeared on the screen. No insignia visible, no ornament. Only resolve. To all sentient civilizations, she began, this transmission is not a plea. Behind her, the stars drifted slowly, indifferent. Within 48 standard hours, the Nereth Clade will initiate forced governance over Solarian space. This act has been approved by the Galactic Concord. Her words rippled outward faster than light. We sought arbitration. We presented evidence. We followed Concord law. She paused. We were denied. Across the galaxy, reactions varied. Some delegates scoffed. Others muted the channel entirely. Empires had heard such protests before, from species that vanished soon after. Therefore, Arya continued, the Solarian Union will act independently. To those who stood with us, we remember you. To those who watched in silence, We hold no hatred. Her eyes hardened. To those who profited from our suffering, withdraw. The transmission ended. Aboard the flagship Crucible of Dominion, Supreme Executor Vale Threx laughed openly. The bridge echoed with amusement. Humans issue threats now, he mocked. Prepare a response. Tell them their compliance window has been shortened. The Nerith fleet advanced ahead of schedule. They never reached Solarian space intact. The first strikes came from unexpected sources. Merchant carriers along the outer routes powered up weapons no database had recorded. Mining haulers detonated proximity traps embedded in asteroid fields. Civilian crews executed maneuvers with military precision, striking supply ships and vanishing before counterfire could lock on. Not victories. Delays. Losses mounted. Nerith formations began to fracture under harassment patterns that defied predictive models. What doctrine is this? An officer demanded. Vale Threx did not answer. Deep beneath Sol Prime, in a chamber buried under kilometers of bedrock, Admiral Rin Xia watched the hollow display. Activate the horizon arrays, she ordered. Across the system, objects long mistaken for debris rotated silently. Ancient-looking pylons unfolded. They fired not beams, but calculations. Space itself betrayed the invaders. Nerith vessels were struck where they would be, not where they were. Shields failed in sequence. Hulls folded inward, as if crushed by invisible hands. Panic spread through command channels. Then the Solarian fleet emerged, not gleaming warships, but refitted cargo vessels, transport frames reinforced with impossible density. They closed distance. Not to trade fire. To end the fight. The battle for Solarian space lasted less than 6 hours. The consequences reshaped history. As Nerith capital ships attempted retreat, Solarian vessels accelerated beyond safety limits. No evasive maneuvers. No hesitation. One transmission cut through every channel. This is Flight Lieutenant Mira Havel, a calm voice said from a burning cockpit. Requesting authorization for terminal impact. Admiral Xia closed her eyes for half a second. Authorization granted. Mira smiled once. The collision erased the Nerith command ship and everything within 5,000 kilometers. It did not end there. Again and again, Solarian crews made the same choice, not out of desperation, but certainty. Their strikes were surgical, decisive, final. By the time silence returned, the Nerith invasion fleet no longer existed. The galaxy reeled. Before emergency councils could convene, Solarian task forces jumped to Nerith-controlled systems. Prison worlds were breached. Chains shattered. Species long erased from records stepped into the light. Operation Iron Resolve spread like wildfire. Empires that had endured for millennia collapsed in weeks, not from chaos, but from exposure. Evidence.
Testimony.
Enforcement. When the Galactic Concord attempted intervention, a single message arrived. Reform or dissolution. This is your final notice. They refused. They believed the Solarians would stop. They were wrong. 6 months later, Admiral Rin Xia stood within the shattered remains of the Concord Hall. The starstone walls lay cracked, symbols of authority broken under controlled demolition. Delegates entered cautiously, former tyrants, liberated leaders, observers who had once laughed. This institution failed, Xia said calmly. It protected power and abandoned the vulnerable. She outlined new statutes. No enslavement. No conquest. Universal representation. Enforce law. A delegate asked, trembling. What prevents Solarians from becoming the next Dominion? Xia answered without pause. We will never rule permanently. If we fail this duty, someone else must rise to stop us. The Unified Stellar Assembly was born from ruin. Within a standard year, slave markets vanished. War criminals stood trial. Trade routes reopened under neutral protection. For the first time in recorded history, weaker civilizations traveled without fear. Solarians did not govern. They enforced. 18 months later, Admiral Xia stood in a memorial garden on Sol Prime. Black stone pillars stretched as far as the eye could see, names etched deep, Solarian and alien alike. A courier approached quietly. Admiral, he said, long-range intelligence confirms a new expansionist power beyond the rim. Forced labor. Planetary seizures. Xiao looked up at the stars. Prepare the fleet, she said softly. Humanity did not seek domination. But when peace was denied, they became the storm that erased empires.